What's good, everybody? I just hit rank 1 again with Deep. I hit rank 1 earlier this season with Leona. People passed me, and I wasn't really sure what to do in this meta, and I figured out that Deep is secretly really broken right now. I'm on a 12-0 win streak with my most current iteration of Deep, and overall, I played 30 games with Deep in ranked at higher Masters rank, and I have an 80% win rate. 80%! That's like the highest I've ever had. That is absurd win rate. So I want to go over today why I think Deep's so strong, my Deep deck, and how to play Deep, so you guys can do well and rank yourself, or just give it a go. So, let's get into the deck. Alright, so first off, I'll start out with why I think Deep is so strong. So, I was trying to figure out what decks to build a lineup around my Leona Samira deck, and I was like, okay, well, I need decks that are good versus control and mid-range, because Leona Samira is good versus control, mid-range, she has stuns and whatever. That's not the point. And I was like, well, Deep seems pretty good against a lot of the control and a lot of the mid-range, and I was like, what does Deep even lose to? It beats just about everything. Like, I think literally every deck in the game besides Fizz Samira, this deck beats. And I have beat Fizz Samira the last 2 times I played against it somehow. But the point is, against control decks, you can just go to Maokai, level Maokai, like against Karma, for example, get rid of the champions, and they deck out. And you can play a bunch of big, deep units, and they can't use all their removal on all of them. And then against the mid-range decks, you just have tons of blockers, your units are bigger, and you end up playing Nautilus, who's a 13-13, they can't beat it. And I was like, this Deep deck's pretty good. That can't be right. There's no way Deep just beats everything. And I played it, and Deep beats everything. Literally every deck I play against besides Fizz Samira, I think it just straight up wins. So I guess in the games today, I'll show you how to beat those decks and how to play the deck. But first, let's go over to the cards in the deck. So I'll only talk about the ones that are like not that standard. So Judge Edgers, obviously toss 3, 1 mana, really good. This deck to go deep. Jettison. So one of the biggest phenomenons in all of Runeterra to me is why people don't think Jettison is broken. Jettison, I run 3 Jettison every Deep deck. I think it is literally one of the best cards in the whole deck, and I often keep it in my Mulligan against control. I keep multiples in my hand against control, because against control you just want to get a Maokai level as fast as possible. Against mid-range, I keep 1 with a mixture of just like units and other early game stuff. So the reason I think Jettison's so strong is 1 is it accelerates your Deep clock by a ton. A lot of games, by the time you get to like turn 6 or 7, you need to be deep, right? You need to be deep or your units won't be shot strong. And you'll be 2 or 3 off, and Jettison's usually the difference maker in those turns. You're able to, so you can use it to go deep. You can use it on the turn where you could go deep as a combat trick against like mid-range, say you're playing versus Demacia. You swing with a few sea creatures, they block whatever, and you jettison. All your guys become bigger because they get +3/+3 from deep, and you win the combat trade, blow up the board, and you win. Similar enough against control, you can swing with a bunch of sea creatures. They try to use mystic shots, whatever on your guys, removal. You use jettison, you go deep. Then suddenly all your guys are bigger. They wasted all the removal, and your units don't die, and you're able to push for tons and tons more damage. So extremely strong. And then after you go deep, so I guess one would be like, okay, well, what about after you go deep? Well, after you go deep, you can use it where if you only have, like, let's say you have like 8 cards in deck, and 5 are champs because you can't get tossed. You can use Jettison to toss all your non-champ cards, and you guarantee you draw Nautilus or Maokai, which usually win you the game because they're really powerful when leveled. Or when you play Shipwreck Hoarder, you can put treasures in your deck, use Jettison to toss them, and then you get treasures, and you can win through that. It's a really powerful card, and I would recommend 3 all the time. But again, to clarify, against control, you want to see a lot of these and keep them. Against mid-range, you want to keep just 1 of them. Against aggro, you don't want to keep these because all that matters against aggro is just stabilizing the early game and like healing and like not dying. So yeah, this is a very powerful. I'd say this is the 2nd strongest card in the deck after Maokai. We'll get to Maokai. All right, so back to the deck. 3 heavy metal, just a generic removal. Again, with rotation in the game now, you don't really have Vile Feast and stuff like that. So a good replacement is heavy metal. It is particularly good against some there's Aatrox decks going around, good equipments, but it's just usually used as a generic deal 2 to something, control tool, kill Samira, stuff like that. We have 3 Sea Scarab, pretty standard, but also want to note that you're able to combine this with Maokai. So whenever ally dies, you toss 1. It sees the saplings die, making you go deep really fast. It's also great off with Lure because it's so cheap. But yeah, pretty straightforward. I just want you to also note it's very good to keep us alive in the early game and let your other units die. So it sees them die, you toss 1 and get to deep faster. 3 Deadly Wonder, heal plus toss 3, pretty good. 2 Jaw Hunters, it's good removal. It can out things, answer things. This is an optional card, I think, in this deck. I like it a lot just to have like the ability to out certain things, but it does die to Pirouette and like 1 damage pings, which the rest of your cards don't really die to. But I like Jaw Hunters, not bad. 3 Lure of the Death. Lure's an interesting card. I'm running 3 right now, so against control it's pretty good because you can like play multiples and then you can just dump your whole hand of sea creatures for low cost, and it just overwhelms them once you've gone deep. Against mid-range, it's decent to keep. It's kind of like Jettison. Like, against control, you want to have multiples. Against mid-range, you keep like one, because you need a mixture of cards. You need like, you know, blockers, plus you want to have like a lurb. You don't have time to like play two. So sometimes the sweet spot's just having one. This card's good though. I like it. I play it. So I still am rank 3 lower than us. 3 Undergrowth, toss 3, drain 2 from a unit. Good healing tool, good removal that also accelerates you towards your deep win con. Alright, the next card is Maokai. This is by far the best card in the deck. It's not even close. I honestly feel like if I stick Maokai on the board for one turn, he has effect off one time I win the game. Just one time. Just one time I win the game. Because you toss 2, which such a good deep so much faster. I'm telling you, it's like Jettison. It's like you need to go deep by a certain time. And not only does it do that, but it also gives you a sapling to remove one of their units. So you get a card that helps you go deep when in a deep deck, that also helps you stabilize on the board, so you can stabilize while you're going deep. And then, if he levels, which is easy to do, you toss or units die 25 times, he obliterates the entire enemy deck, leaving only 4 non-champion cards, and basically at that point, you win the game against a lot of matchups, especially the slower, more control ones, because they run out of steam, they're out of champions. So let's say, like, I made an example with Set Karma. So what they could do, if they don't have 2 karmas, they just lose. But say they have 2 karmas, and they play one, and you play Maokai, so they can like use a chance to put more in their deck. You can just use all your removal on that karma, and like just kind of put a pressure on, like you're trying to kill them with deep units that are huge. You're also decking them out, and then you're also playing Devour and Vengeance and stuff from their threats, and it just kind of like hits them from all angles, where it's like, okay, they could probably refill their deck, or okay, they could probably live against the deep creatures, or okay, maybe they can deal with the removal. But if you're doing all 3 at once, people just can't keep up. And then against mid-range decks, just having blockers every single turn, and then on your turn, the challengers remove their board, it just, they never can get through. The Demacia decks can just never, ever get through this. So it's very strong. I would also note, when playing the deck, you want to make sure you're a bit more wary to not play Maokai's willy-nilly from hand after you have leveled, because you can also deck out. So you want to make sure you keep one in the field, but then save one in hand, because you can sat magic put Maokai back in the deck so you don't deck out. The last thing I want to say is another perk is against control decks, or just a lot of decks. If you play this really early, if you can like level it immediately, it makes a lot of their draw cards dead, because if they draw, they'll deck out. So, very, very, very strong card. I keep this in pretty much every single match in the game. I think even versus aggro, you probably keep it. Probably, because if you can just stabilize against the beginning and then play Maokai, then they can never get through and you win the game. Next, I have 2 Megatusks. I initially ran 1, but I quickly bumped it to 2 for 2 reasons. One, so once you go deep, it heals your allies in your Nexus 3. So a lot of times, you don't want to like fall behind on boards. You don't just want to like trade your units poorly, because let's say you block with Dredgers or like Deadloom Wanderer, Sea Scarab, whatever, and they don't trade in battle. Your opponent's so ahead on board, even if you go deep, they have like 5 monsters and you have none, and then you just die. But if you're able to be like, okay, I'm going to heal, so I can actually take some damage here and keep some blockers for later, then it really gives you the leeway to not fall behind on board. And also, it's just nice to stabilize with this card, because it's like, okay, they get you a certain range of like, oh, I might be scared because I'm like 6 health, but if you heal 9 to 9, like you heal 3, go to 9, you're like, okay, I'm at 9, I'm good, I stabilize. So he's very, very strong, ensuring you win the game, ensuring you stabilize the board, and you're good from there after you go deep. The other reason I love him is because he costs 4. So when Nautilus comes out, he discounts your sea monsters by 4, making him cost 0. So a lot of times what happens is they'll have like 3 units, right? You play Nautilus. They're like, okay, we played Nautilus, right? And he's tapped out. He already used all his mana. So I can just play another unit, attack with 4 units, and he can only block 1 of them. But nope, you play Megatusk, and then you have 2 blockers, and you heal, and your units are huge. You have Nautilus and Megatusk, right? So he also ensures that like by turn 7, when you play Nautilus, you also kind of just win a lot of time. So being able to have turn 7 not be a weak point where you're spread too thin with just 1 Nautilus, and being able to like keep playing cards that turn after the Nautilus is huge. 2 salvage, refuel, great risk control to just, refuel through the removal and dig to go deep. 1 Abyssal Eye. So people like Abyssal Eye. I don't think it's that great this season. I feel like this deck already struggles for Fizz Samir a lot, so having the elusive doesn't really matter. It also costs 5, so like they're gonna be playing so many units anyway. Like playing 5 mana on 1 card's not that great. Against the mid-range decks, like elites or whatever, like Quinn, Aatrox, it costs a lot of mana, and they can just single combat it or challenge it or whatever. And even if you get it to become a 6/6, it's like they aren't in a good spot. And against like the removal-based decks like Set Karma, they can go like Mystic Shot, Caustic Rift, and they spent little mana to kill a 5-mana card. So I can still play 1. I think it's important to have a 1 of this in your deck. 1 of those are actually pretty good if they're sea monsters, because Nautilus shuffles them back, right? So it's like, it's a card you will guaranteed see in the late game. And it's a crucial asset in the late game when it's a 6/6, especially when it's discounted to 1 mana by Nautilus, or 0 mana if you play Lord of the Death. But it's not that great in the mid game. But I still like to see the 1 in the late game. 3 Devour the Vest, no introduction, just obliterate the enemy units, especially the key units like Karma, Set, and stuff like that. Garen, whatever, so he's really good. 2 Vengeance, generically good. We have like some cheap removal for early game units with heavy metal versus like Samira. You also need answers for bigger units and like threats via the Vengeance, so I like that a lot. 3 Nautilus, pretty straightforward when you're deep. He levels and he becomes huge. A lot of times you play him on turn 7, you win the game instantly. There's so many games where it's like, okay, I'm behind on board a little bit, and then you play Nautilus, and they're like, I can't beat a 13/13, and then you just win, and the game's just over. He also has debatably the best champ spell in the entire game. 4 mana fast shuffle unit into the deck, and he discounts all your sea creatures 4, which is really cool. Again, with the Abyssal Life I mentioned, it costs 5, right? So it costs 1 if it discounts by 4, but if you use Lord of the Death, it costs 0. Making it very easy to just like spam your whole hand the next turn. So Nautilus is absolutely insane at, basically you win the game when it comes down. He's really strong. Last but not least, I think a very mandatory thing in this deck is 1 Ship Recorder. Again, I really like the 1 of sea creatures because you notice in the late game. He gives you alternate win cons because he tosses treasures in your deck. These make your jettisons live in the late game. They give you ways to beat things, again, like Fizz Samir, like Killbreaker is actually one of the ways you could beat them. These are all like kind of win the game buttons. Like this gets 3 8/8s with Fearsome, and this gives you 5 random cards. So it's just really nice to have this extra, I guess, oomph factor to the deck that can make you win a lot of games that were otherwise not winnable at all. So I like Ship Recorder a lot. So that's the deck. I'm going to go into some games here, but real quick, I'll give you a rough draft on how to mulligan. So against control decks, say Set Karma, for example, you want to mull as greedy as possible. All you care about is going deep. That way your sea creatures have a lot of health and a lot of attack. They pack a punch, and they're hard to deal with. And you can level Maokai, basically shutting off all their draw cards, getting rid of their champions that don't have them already, and your win con is decking them out if you don't just kill them. But otherwise, you're just attacking with like 1,000,000,006 health units. So you want to mull for like Jettison, Dredgers, Deadwind Wonder, Sea Scarab, Lord of the Death, Maokai, Salvage. Any card that lets you go deep, that's what you want. Against mid-range, you want a mixture of things. It's kind of like a happy medium. You want like, some early game units like Dredgers, Deadwind Wonder, Sea Scarab, maybe even a heavy metal. But 1 Jettison. I wouldn't want more than 1, but 1, because I feel like against mid-range, a lot of times you're trying to mulligan to stay alive, and then you just kind of need that 1 Jettison to push you over the edge to make sure you are deep by turn 7 or even earlier. If you don't have Jettison, a lot of times you won't go deep, and then your units are all small, and they just have all kinds of like strong units like Aatrox, Garen, Quinn, whatever, Vayne, and then you end up losing. So it's a happy medium of like, you want like 1 Jettison, like when you 1 lure, but a lot of the early game units, and obviously you keep Maokai every matchup he's broken. And then against aggro, it's the opposite. You do not want any Jettisons, you do not want any salvages, you don't want any cards that are slow. You just want early game units to stabilize. You want 3, you want Dredgers to 1 drop. Sea Scarabs to 2/3. This one heals. Jaw Hunters is even good, just so it's one of your cheaper units. Heavy metal, just anything that has a cost of like 3 or less. And you can keep a Maokai because after you pass the first few turns, you need a way to win, right? If you can just live and then stick a Maokai, they can never get through the saplings and you win the game. So that's how I mulligan loosely, but I guess it's better to show you in practice. So let's play some games. We're playing against Kane Aatrox. I don't know if I played versus specifically Kane Aatrox. I played against a lot of Aatrox Vayne type things, but I think this deck is amazing versus mid-range decks. So hope I can showcase that this game. This card's good, just generically good. 2-drop, 3-drop that mills. I want a mulligan for mostly cards on to go deep, like Jettison. This is a pretty good hand actually. Dredgers, Jettison. Okay, that's very good. So all we have to do is kind of just like not lose too much board presence in the early game while not taking too much damage, and then the turn we hit deep, we just win. All of our units are just so big, I cannot keep up with them. We're good to go. And then like their one threat is what, like Aatrox or Kane. We can just out that with Vengeance, stuff like that. So we can go ahead and play the Sea Scarab here in case they do full swing, because that way we can see this die and then mill 1. It is much smarter though to only attack with the Fearsome, so good play. Alright, so I think here we still can just play this and maybe swing. We also could just attack, get some free damage in there. Maybe we'll just do that. Yeah. The box. One great feeling about this is that Lifesteal I don't care about. Lifesteal is a very powerful tool. It's off aggro decks and mid-range decks. I play a lot of those decks. I don't care in this matchup. You can heal it back. It's fine. We're going to win by board control later. Or maybe I could win by a Maokai. Interesting pass. It makes me think that they're bricks. Because why would you pass here? So it's a good chance we could salvage. But then this pass is also great for us because they lose a mana. But I think we should milk our lead here. Because I do think that they're bricking. It's weird though, because couldn't they have like any weapon or like anything? Maybe they drew Aatroxes? Like, what would they play here they wouldn't have already played before, is what I'm thinking. Alright, so no Maokai, but we're already 6 away from deep. Feels good. We can get another open attack in here. I'm going to keep the Sea Scarab, it's going to get bigger later. I mean, really want to have like a bunch of deep creatures the turn we go deep. That way, our board presence is just huge when we do go deep.
Into the abyss.
Okay. That's totally cool. So, yeah, you kind of have to block this, because anyway, what you would be if you don't, we're going to keep healing. And that's going to be annoying. Because then the game drags on, we play Nautilus, we play Maokai, they level, we win. We could have potentially put this at the end, so that way, when these die, we can jettison, and then we go deep on that combat, but they could have blocked differently if we chose to do that. Right, do you kind of want to have Vengeance here? The scary thing, though, is there's that one spell. There is that one spell that's like 2 mana spell shield. That would destroy things, but see what happens. So we're already deep. We just gotta draw some sea creatures and we're good. We could salvage again. I don't know if I want to lose that tempo, though. Really? Going aggro, huh? We could do Undergrowth on that so we can try and make them trade. I kind of want to bait out that Spell Shield card too before I play Vengeance. I want to save Vengeance when it really matters. There's a Spell Shield card. Very good. I want to get rid of that card before we play our Vengeance. Alright, that's fine. And then I think I want to refuel and draw... I think I want to draw sea creatures, because they're going to be able to out Nautilus. Okay, so no sea creatures, interesting. That's fine. I will pass here because they're losing so much mana. They could use like a strike spell. I don't know which ones they can play in this. Did I read the combination exactly? So they drew Aatrox. I guess we'll play this now, just so we have a blocker for when they hopefully aren't too hot on board. Make sure that we don't fall behind. So now being a 13-13 might honestly be enough to win the game, but I don't know. We could also just play Maokai this turn in level, and then play Nautilus later. Because like the earlier we play, the more clock they're on. They have 4 turns to try and win. And they have to win through a Vengeance. So we'll just play it immediately. Pretty strong, pretty strong. It's like, again, this is why Maokai's so good. They have to not deck out, not fall behind on board while not dying. It's just, the threats are just, there's a multitude of them. They could have this champ spell and strike things. I'm really tempted to try and kill this. What? I don't even know what region, what commenters they're going to have in these sea regions, the Aatrox Kane regions. Are we just safe to kill this? Because it can go really bad if we don't. I think I'll go for it. But I could also go for that as a safer play. Nice. Alright, well now we're like pretty much guaranteed win because Vengeance that... We don't even really have to. They can get it back though with the World Ender later. But I think we'll be good either way. Let's just see what happens. Just wait and see what happens. Alright, so this is turn 1 of their 4-turn clock. That's a really strong draw. So we can Riptide something if we care about it. Yeah, I don't mind blocking here. Save some health. We could also just let it go, because I also don't care if we take the damage. But it's fine. So Jawhunters did give us the beast below. which is really good. Pay the tide. It's really good because it costs 0, so it costs 4, but this discounts the allies by 4, so now it costs 0, so we have a lot of board presence here. We are making it so we can't Vengeance this turn, but I think we'll be just fine. Oh, wow. Heedless Resurrection. Getting back to Kane. Okay. I see you. I'm not worried, though. And now that we put units back in our deck, our Resistance could potentially be live. When we do draw... it's fine. When we say the start of our progress, when we do draw our Shipwreck Quarter, our deck will be pretty thin, so we're guaranteed treasure. It's basically just a 1 mana, give us 2 broken cards. Ooh, it's popping off. Okay. I see ya. I almost just want to save Vengeance for a very long time until they play the Worldbender. I don't know. Love Aatrox is also pretty good, though. So we probably should just kill Aatrox at some point. So we actually do mill off that now. It's fine, though. We're gonna save the second Maokai, because we're gonna need it when we have another Maokai to not deck out ourselves by looping Maokai Stat Magic. Very good. That's what I was talking about. And it only costs 3. We probably want to chain Vengeance to this, so that way we kill this and the weapon isn't on the field. To turn into its stronger form. Kane, I guess this will do Kodak. Rampage starts free attack. We could challenge that. I guess we could, or sorry, we could Vengeance that. We could just Vengeance that, and then we could Riptide the Aatrox later. Oh, wow. Another one, okay. Okay. And then the attack, what makes it gain attack? Yeah, okay. Good play. Good play. I see you. Got the Play Remeg. Very thin deck, and we can't mill champs. So... let's just try and whittle away this board. Force some blocks here. I don't mind if these take damage, because we have outs of these. Yeah, they're pretty thin. Like, it's like, it's crazy, because it looks like they're like, oh, are they winning? They're leveling Kane and like the little Aatrox, but like, not really. That was Kane Shadow Step, so they had a lot of Kanes in decks. So you actually can't really get the Maokai win con for a little bit. I guess we can just heal everything. In a way, it's like basically a soft pass. Does he have to see? He doesn't have to see it activated, right? Oh, okay. I was like, I could have maybe got it earlier. Okay, so we'll do this. I don't even know how this works. What card is even doing that? Is it the Darken Fan? When I transform, summon 2 ephemeral copies of me, grant 1 lifesteal, 1 elusive. Okay. Yeah, that seems pretty good. But I still think we should shuffle that away, right? I'm not entirely sure this is the right thing to shuffle. It also makes it they won't deck out for longer. It's gonna be a close game, but we should win. It's interesting that I showed me what traits they would have. Pass here. Still can't go Nautilus. We have a lot of big units. It's actually a decent amount of damage if they hook that one. But yeah, they're going for board. It's fine. Should win this one. They are going for damage. Still get the dragon too. Kind of like the high health on that. It's a lot of damage. I guess we should jettison here to get our treasure and also ensure we draw a champ, hopefully Nautilus. Okay. Well, we have mana for treasure trove and Nautilus. Game's kind of crazy, actually. Let's get 5 random cards and see what happens. Oh god, Citrus Courier for the rally.
All things can be analyzed, even dark.
What does this do? Create a shady character or Chempunk Shredder. It's only transform to followers though. Soul Sword, it just does more damage. I guess with Spade his things out. He just got a 0 mana card. Right? Nopeify. On the same stack though, we should probably just get rid of maybe the lifesteal unit. This what? This heals 2? It's gonna heal 6. Let's get rid of that. So we can like attack and then reheal later. Is that Kane Shadow Steps? We know the Kane deck. Oh, maybe we should have killed that then, because it can overwhelm. Kills with overwhelm, maybe. That could have been a huge misplay. Oh god, did we just throw? Oh man, we had this game. We had this game. I guess that'll be our first loss. We should have saved Riptide in case he drew Kane Shadow Step. Alright, I mean, GG. GG for sure. Alright, playing versus Caitlyn, Annie, a pretty popular control deck right now. I feel pretty good with this matchup in theory. I don't think I've actually played it yet. So this matchup, I'm going to mulligan for control tools. That would be things like jettison, or I guess not really control tools, sorry. How I mulligan for controlled matchups. Things that are tools I use against control, may I say. Like jettison, salvage, dredgers, Maokai, anything let's go deep. First control, you want to go deep as fast as possible. This deck does have Caitlyn, so they could apply some pressure, but I'm not too worried about that. Because it happens at turn 3, and I think we'll be at plenty of health unless they have like Annie and Caitlyn. They shouldn't play that many units. So this is actually a pretty good hand. We did draw a lot of ways to go deep. We have Jettison, Salvage, Deadly Wanderer. Even these are fine overall. So kind of play it slow here. When we play this, they're most likely going to Mystic Shot it, but it's still worth it because it allows us to go deep faster. We could pass, but we'd be falling behind on mana. We could salvage, but I think it's too early to spend 4 like that. So we'll just go ahead and play the Deadly Wanderer. And if they have Caitlyn, we can swing for 3 and they'll take it, because I don't think they would trade Caitlyn for this on defense. Here we should probably pass. I mean, there's an argument I could have thought about. There's an argument not to pass there, because it could mean that they're bricked. Because if they had Mystic Shot, they should have used it there immediately, right? If they had Caitlyn, they should have played it there, right? So I'm just going to assume that they thought I would attack when I Mystic Shot after. But I also could assume that players would know they can't just risk me passing and then losing mana, which means therefore they are bricked. I'm not sure which one's the right answer. I'm going to kill this now before she starts leveling. I think that's a safer line. Because I think I'm going to inevitably try and kill her later. I could play Jaw Hunters or Sapling to try and kill her, but they'll likely protect her. Like, if I play Jaw Hunters and Sapling and they have Caustic Rift, we're just losing tons and tons of units, and then Annie will stay alive. So, with that being said, I think I just want to go deep. So we already got just one Maokai. Just one Maokai by himself. I think we're so far ahead, right? Because we have a 2-1 Challenger. We can potentially move that. They probably have Caustic Rift. That's fine. We still mill 2. We still mill 2. And they still have to remove this, so it's going to keep happening. Okay, it's fine. No Caustic Rift, interesting. So if I did go for Annie, it would have actually worked out. I don't like losing mana, but I don't know if I want to use all my spell mana. So I could just jettison. Like salvage is probably fine here though. I do kind of want to refuel and when I draw my altar what I want to do. That skin that makes the flash bomb like that is so crazy. Luckily Ravenous Flock is rotated. So I can just kill this. Oh god. Well now they're putting it in range of dying to a flash bomb, or they're just gonna kill it straight up with the spell. But I do have a second Maokai. So maybe salvaging was actually could potentially a misplay there, because it does open up lines where Maokai can die, and I do not want Maokai to die. Drum solo, okay. Draw 2, they're doing some refueling themselves. We could just obliterate that. But I kind of like this line with the heal at the Maokai. So that way it's not in range of the flash bombs. We're definitely loving Maokai this game. Like maybe, can we do it this turn? We're 8 away. This is 3 plus 4. So yeah, we'd be 1 off. But a unit will die this turn. So we actually will level on round start. Assuming we have enough cards in deck and they're not all champions. Yep. So we will level on round start. So we get 4 here. It says when cards are tossed or a unit dies, so a unit will die. We also could have noted how many flash bombs we got rid of. We have 2 remaining, which I guess also just works looking at it like that. So this is basically a win. Because it's just too early in the game to care about having to kill me in 4 turns and losing some resources while your draw cards are dead too now. So very powerful. And we're likely to draw Nautilus soon. What we could do is like Undergrowth or something. Basically just... Oh, we're already there. So now our 5 cards in deck are all champions. We have 2... We're 1 Maokai, 3... Okay, we have 1 card that's not a champion. So we could mill a card later this turn. Or, yeah, later this turn. To ensure we draw Nautilus. There's 1 Maokai we could draw, but we'd be a 3 to 4 chance to draw Nautilus. With that being said, let's shift attack for now. It's just so much damage. I feel like we can't undo this. Because let's say they want to stop taking this much damage, they have to use their mana, and if they use their mana this turn to stop the damage, they're just wasting mana they need to like actually try and win the game before they deck out. Okay, that's pretty good. Oh god. Oh god, that's making them deck out even faster. They're accelerating their clock. That's not good for them. So I think I do want to draw a Nautilus, so we will Undergrowth after I have to metal this. See how they act first. I don't think they really have reactive cards to protect, but I want them to think Flash Bomb Peddler's safe potentially if they change their mind. There'll be more Flash Bombs here, but what they don't know is we can toss, I think, 1 card. 1 card's not a champ, so we'll potentially toss 1 of those. Yep. Wow, that had all the Flash Bombs on it. That's crazy. Alright, cool. So they have now 1 turn to win, and we have Nautilus. It's probably proper for us to just do this, though, and try and kill that. They might stop it, but they're basically dead, so... Actually, we could just block it. Even if they disintegrate the Nautilus, then we still win. And they already used Disintegrate, so they probably don't even have another one. But again, it's like making them have to deal with these threats while they're decking out, it's just too much. They just can't do everything. They can't not deck out while also stay alive. GG. Alright, we are up against Leona, Aesol, Demacia, so it's like a mid-range deck with top end. Actually, it could be a pretty good fight. Because usually they only have the mid-range, it'd be like level Maokai or whatever, Nautilus, and then we win. But actually we'll be able to contest us in the late game. I feel like I have a lot of rep to hold up, because I am 12-0 currently in this deck, and I have 80% with this version 12-0, and 8% across the entire ranked season that I've been playing deep this time around. So hopefully I win when we're on the video. So I wouldn't keep this, it's too expensive. This is a debatable keep. It could be good at removing some of their mid-range units. I guess we can keep it. I just really want to see Maokai. Like, Maokai's so good. Okay, we have a lot of Dredger. His hand's kind of broken. They're not going to trade that well past, like, the early game. This deck might not even run them any 1-drops. Just have, like, Solari Soldier. But they do get you deep very fast, which means, even though these are cheap units that kind of fall off, they'll make up for it, because when we're deep, all of our units will be huge in the mid to late game, and we can win. So Sea Scarab's pretty good here. Because if they kill the dredgers, we can see it and then toss one. It's very important to max out how often you see an ally die to go deep. I mean, it's like you can be 1 or 2 cards off deep frequently. You really need to make sure you're getting max value. Okay, they're kind of sketching me out by passing here. They could have that Dragon Challenger thing. I think I'm still going to play Sea Scarab. There's also a debate to keep Sea Scarab in case you draw Lure of the Death, so it's discounted. Sometimes I do that, but I think I just want to stick on the board here to see things when they die. Okay, that's fine. We can just take that, though. We'll block this later. There's no reason, really, to just lose a blocker. Especially because they're probably going to have a huge board soon. We drew Maokai, so his hand's really strong. We can play Jaw Hunters and kind of see what they do. If they play nothing, we can just pass because they'll lose a mana and we're ahead on board. Like we're not in any way have to pressure them or kill them, right? We're gonna win. Like if the game keeps going the way it's going, we are going to win. This deck is very hard to beat in the late game. We have a 13-13. They could comment off this, which is scary, but I feel like even then the damage is already done. Attack with everything for 1 mana. They don't have any way to kill this. I guess unless they're on like Radiant Strike or Catch, but I doubt it. So very strong here. We're getting 2 mills because it's used two units die. 2 of our own units die. And even when it dies, it mills 1 as well. But very good. Poking for the damage when it's safe is nice with this deck because it helps you in the late game when you make your huge push with your sea creatures, but don't force it. Interesting. I really want to play this. But I think it's kind of obvious. And they're going to want to punish me. But what punch do they even have, right? They can't play Screeching Dragon for this mana. They have Daybreak units. Maybe I was gonna say they might just have nothing. They might just have nothing. So we pretty much win. I genuinely feel if Maokai sticks for even 1 turn, the game's over. That's how I feel about this deck. Like, he just does so much. He just does so much. Because now they remove him, it's like, well, the damage is already done. We already tossed him at a sapling. Okay, that's actually a pretty good comment. But again, it's like, they pay, I guess we could develop here, actually. Because I can't Daybreak anymore. We might as well play this one, because it's bigger and pushes more damage. It's like, they pay 6 mana for 4 mana cards. It's already down in mana for them. But then also, we already mill 2. And it's just a bonus if we get 2 damage in, but mostly the milling's what matters. The milling too. Like, as I'm saying earlier with this deck, oh, interesting, Falling Star. Go forward to okay. To a unit that attack this turn. But we still get the mill extra. But yeah, as I'm saying, a lot of the games come down to you're 1 or 2 off deep, and if you don't go deep, you lose. Especially against the mid-range decks when they have a board. So that's why I think cards like Jettison are so important in this deck. And I also love saving the Jettison for like combat tricks. Like right now, imagine he goes to attack, right? We feign like we can't do anything good. He goes to attack. We Jettison, buff this up to a 5/6, and then it dies. We don't have Jettison here, but that's what I would do otherwise. I guess we can just salvage here, because I was going to play Dredgers, but I might as well just play salvage instead then, right? They both does go deep. We could have actually passed here and hope he attacked, but he's so far behind, I don't really want him to be able to catch up. So I kind of want to keep putting the pressure on. And that's why I decided to salvage here, although I could have done the thing I said with Jettison. Yeah, I want to make sure that we do not fall behind at all. So I can do what I was talking about earlier by playing Nautilus and immediately playing the Megatusk. The only downside is that it does fall into Leona's stun. So I think I'd rather just push here, because if he doesn't block, he's dead. And if he does block, it dies. And he has to have a combat trick. Probably does, they form up. That's fine. I don't want to Vengeance this here. I'd rather just get Nautilus down the board. We could also just heavy metal that later, which is pretty good. So maybe Leona here, but we already kind of robbed her value of the stun for the turn. And we're also going to be playing Devour the Deaths. Ooh, that's really good actually for them. They can get another comment. Alright, let's just go ahead and play Nautilus here. Let's try and play down a 0 mana Megatusk before they can kill this with Comet. So that way, even if they do Comet this, they're still pretty behind in tempo. Especially because they're so weak. Like, since they're so weak, we really don't want to fall behind in tempo. We can save this Jettison now for when we get Shipwreck Quarter. Okay, so that's 1 mana. It's 2 mana. They probably will Comet this if they hit it. Okay, Minosaurus, not bad. Take it and get Leona. Okay, and here we just win, right? How do I want to do this? I guess we can start with this. There's no reason to Vengeance stack, so we can just heavy metal this. I guess we can just Devour to remove their blocker. Even though we usually want to hit something stronger than 2/2 with this and get like mad value out of it, but as you can see, we like pretty much win the game. So. And if they have Judgment, if they randomly for some reason play Judgment, we have Vengeance. So this should just be a W. It's also nice because they have to answer an elusive, as well as big guys, as well as mini guys. So it's just a lot of threats. Put these first. We have to get a bad trade here. Put the elusive first. Yeah. Nice. G. All right. That was pretty good games, pretty crazy games, all very winnable. Seems we still have some improving to do with the deck. Took our first loss, but hope you guys enjoyed the video. I do stream this deck live on Twitch, so be sure to check it out there. Twitch.tv/plays. Comment below what you think of the deck, what videos you guys want to see, and I'll have plenty more videos the rest of this week and weekend. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.